Hi there. On today's episode, witness me.
I'm Charlie.
I'm Chris.
And now I'm Eddie. This is straight to POD. He said do it with feeling.
That was good feeling. I like that feeling. If you were about to kill yourself in the
That would
Mad
be
Max world,
that
in the
would be
Mad Max world,
frightening.
I gotta finish that. If you're about to, that would
um,
be a good one.
Yeah, I don't know if you would get to Valhalla with that, but
Gotta hop some paint.
yeah, the Chrome.
Yeah.
so I think what we're doing unofficially here is we're just taking the time to go watch movies that we're not gonna review, but we're gonna give you a little bit of the insights, so see what we like, see what we didn't like. You'll see all these, what would I say, B movies, for lack of a better term, not the major big blockbusters, but stuff that's out there, but that we don't necessarily want to give an entire episode towards. So continuing that, there were a couple movies that we went to go watch. Um, there's a couple movies out there that someone was watching, others didn't. So starting off spooky season for some reason in the middle of summer. There's Strangers Chapter 1, the origin story to the Strangers franchise. Charlie, you want to go see this? Give me some insights. What'd you think?
We went to go see this.
Did you forget?
I was gonna bring in myself later, but
Uh-huh.
yes, we went to go see it.
Did you forget you were, I mean, I would also like to forget that I was there, Eddie. No, don't go see this movie. Just whatever. If you saw the first one, cool. And if you haven't watched the original first one, don't even watch this one. I don't get. It's just like this movie was just. Chris, did you end up watching it?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Because this is good. Um,
This is good.
I wanted you to see it because to talk shit about it, but I'm also glad you didn't waste your time. Um, number one. Number two, this movie could be rephrased as The Strangers Chapter 1 on how to make your life harder. Because all common sense is thrown out the window when they made this movie. And the two main characters, just any common sense that you have across any situation, despite all the adrenaline and being hunted and murdered or whatever. Being hunted to get murdered. Um, and in a stressful situation like that, like it's just no, no. Every single decision you would make, they make the exact opposite one. Um, so it's literally like it was like that commercial. Do you guys see that insurance? I think it's like insurance commercial where it's like, why don't we go hide in the garage with all
The
those
Geico one.
chainsaws? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, why don't we just get in the moving in the car? And they're like, no, it's a bad idea. That's exactly this movie. That's exactly this
You
movie.
know
Uh,
what? That is a great callback. I did not even connect. That's exactly
Yeah.
what that was,
Yeah.
to
And
the nth degree, where it's like, let's go hide in that shack over there. That's exactly what they did.
yeah. Just get in the car. Leave. Get out. I don't know.
all right,
There
I
was
have
a
a
point.
question
Yeah.
since I didn't see the movie, but I heard this is like a excuse me, a remake of the first one. Is that true?
No,
Yeah, so
is it?
yeah,
Isn't
so
it?
all the beats are there.
Okay.
Um
I thought this was a prequel.
it's a
No,
couple.
it's like a reboot of the
No,
series,
it's like the
right?
exact same. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
couple. There's a cabin. They're staying there. I think the first one, the original first one, was like they're staying there post a wedding. This one, it was like they stay in a small town because they have car trouble,
Hmm.
right? Whatever. They just end up in a like an abandoned small town, right? Nobody around for like miles or whatever. Um, Same thing. starts out with the that girl knocking. Is Terry there? No, get out of here. Okay. She comes back. They like terrorize him a little bit. They're already in the house. Um, there's a couple of differences. Like the guy leaves to go pick up burgers at like 2 a.m. or something like that. But everything else is the same. They like F with them a little bit. Then they finally attack them. Then there's like a death that isn't supposed to be a death with like a shotgun. There's a chance to get in a car, but then that was ruined. And then they're hunted. Why are you doing this? At the end, they're tied up at the end. Girl's like, why are you doing this? And she's like, because you're here. And, same exact line of dialogue. The only difference is that like if this is chapter one, I'm assuming there's gonna be a chapter two or chapter three.
It's a trilogy of movies.
Right,
That's what
right.
I'm
But
also
here
curious about. Like, what
here is the
does it like lend
problem.
to a sequel?
Yeah, so the girl gets stabbed, like in the original first one, but she survives, right? She ends up in the hospital like the next day or whatever. But
Hmm.
then at the end, so there's a post credit, right? Ooh, post credit.
You stayed
Uh,
post credit.
yeah,
It was like a mid credit. It was like a mid credit
yeah.
scene.
It
Oh,
wasn't
okay,
like
okay.
actually like all the
Yeah.
way. Yeah. Um, so she survives. Hooray. The guy dies. Um, so they flash the scene where she's in the hospital, like waking up, right? And at the end, she like wakes up, gets up, and then, as the camera pans of her getting up, the guy's like right behind her, right next to her in the hospital. So it's like, okay, so she's dead for sure now? So how's there gonna be chapter two?
And
How will
three.
there and three? Like how? Is it gonna be a new people? I thought it was gonna be like, oh, she survives and hunts them now. The hunters become the
What?
huntee, or some shit like that, right?
Maybe it's like the recent Halloween trilogy, like
Yeah,
we thought we
yeah.
killed in one,
Even
but
then,
they were
how
still
does he get in the
alive.
hospital with the mask on? I thought
He
it was
works
family
there.
only. I thought it was family only. It's also like 1 a.m. there. Aren't visiting hours between like 7 and 7 or something like that?
Yeah. How do you get in with the mask on?
He
How do you
probably
get
wasn't
in?
wearing the
How do you
mask
get?
when he got
How
it
do you get in? How do you get in with a knife? I don't understand.
Yeah.
in his
So
pocket.
In his
yeah, it was
pocket?
just terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Yeah.
So
The first time that
are you gonna watch the other ones?
um
Yes.
Wow, you guys just hate yourself,
no.
don't you?
No,
No.
I'm
You're
keeping
gonna watch it.
Hollywood
I know you're
alive,
gonna watch
baby.
it.
I'm keeping Hollywood alive.
I like shitty, crappy, heady, scare movies because that's pretty much all they are
Was
now.
it okay? Was it scary? Was it even
No,
scary? Yeah.
no, no, not at all.
Bad.
No, not at all. No, no, no. I'll probably just let chapter two, chapter three just whiz by and just like look up a YouTube recap later. Yeah, so it wasn't even scary either. So, um, they tried jump scares, they tried other shit. It did not work. Eddie, what did you think of this movie?
Yeah, it's crappy as hell. I think you
That's pretty much it.
pretty
Yeah.
much covered all the bases to it. It's just I don't know. The original movie worked for the time. Um, you know, smartphones weren't invented yet. I mean, you had cell phones, but everybody knew reception was still crappy with roaming and stuff like that. So it's hard to make this film in this day and age. Because you need things to work. You need things to work for the movie to move along, but then you need them not to work when they're needed the most type thing. And it's always like the classic, like I have no signal, like that might have, that might have worked great in the early cell phone age, but now it's like you really, you really would need to be like really, 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 really like it's stranded in the Grand Canyon or something. Um, because in a small town, it's not like they're off in the reservoir. They were able to book an Airbnb. The actual place was able to be booked with an Airbnb through their phone. Like they have signal. She was able to call out. You know what I mean? She was able to call out to get the owner to come, fix the fridge. Like simple things like that. You just can't. And then there was a scene where she was like scared, so she ran, like the lights went out, but she had her flashlight on. She went to go hide in a room, but she kept her flashlight on.
Oh yeah,
Um, and
that
it's
was
like
dumb.
you need to keep it. I know why you need to keep it on because without it, like as the camera's moving, we need to see your facial expression because the camera's rolling. But in a real scenario, the person could see where the fuck you're hiding. Turn off your fucking camera light, right? So it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's and I'm trying to be like, this movie will fall apart, blah blah blah. It's just it's I don't think it's whoever's doing the horror genre has a lot of work cut out for them. Like it's really hard to do it
I
nowadays.
mean, like you said, it's saving Hollywood.
I mean it really
It made money despite
it did.
being like
Yeah.
I think like 8% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
yeah. So it's not like it's the easiest thing in the world. Like the premise of a lot of these have to take away the technology aspect or incorporate it in some way, but the way they incorporate it just is dumb. Like Countdown, um, was
Countdown.
like,
Jeez.
yeah, well,
I
or
I
like
can't believe you saw Countdown and
I saw
not Fury
Countdown.
Road. Not Fury Road.
I'm just saying,
Get out of here.
Is that the
um,
death app?
yeah, it's the death
Yes.
app.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I think there was
uh,
there was like a setup for a sequel at the end too, if
I
I
don't.
remember
It's just
correctly.
whatever.
Eddie's disappointed it never came.
It's
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard. So I want to keep giving. I'm not like a genre like a this type of genre fan. Like I don't really like scary movies.
What?
I don't really
Didn't you
like.
see the tarot card movie that just came out?
I did. I
But
don't
I
like.
don't like scary
I
movies.
don't like. I don't like scary movies. I
Was
don't
it
like scary
good?
movies because they're scary. No, that shit
Was
was
it?
craptastic.
No, of course
Um,
not.
I don't like scary movies. Like I don't go out. Like I don't collect. Like it's not no scary movies. Is like my top favorite movies. Like I don't like go out of my way to go see them. There just happens to be a lot of scary movies out for whatever reason back to back right now. But I want to go see them because again it's hard. I can't remember the last time as an adult where I went to go see a movie where I was like scared, like you know what I'm saying, like either not anticipating a jump scene to scare me, or the topic itself of the movie or the subject of the movie wasn't scary in and of itself within the movie, um, and maybe because we're adults and we're dissecting that as we're watching it, um, is it's going down, but I want to give the people who are giving it a shot, their just due, just because I feel like that's a really hard genre, especially in this day and age, to write, produce, and like get out there. I mean, they're still going, right? It's still coming out, and it's not like they're trying to work with old shit, but it's just I don't know, it doesn't work. The Omen, The Conjuring, this like Immaculate was dumb. And I guess the other two movies, I guess, would fall under this category, right? Chris, the two movies that you saw, Evil Does Not Exist and it's TV Glow, would
I
these
mean,
be
I wouldn't say they're
considered?
horror at all.
Would they Are they scary?
No,
Are
like
they meant to be scary?
no, they're not horror
Oh,
movies.
okay. Well, Evil Does Not
Unless
Exist sounds like a scary
unless you
movie.
think global warming and did that to like a small Japanese village is horror, then yes.
I mean, Food Inc. 2 is coming out, and where you don't want to know where your beef comes from, but yeah. So again, I'll watch the other two just because I guess someone's got to watch these things. But
I mean, I
yeah. I mean,
guess
I want to give. I want to give them as much leeway as possible. But when you're just like, this doesn't. I can't even. It's just
I believe they already filmed the other two because the second one
okay.
comes out like in a couple months,
Well,
and the
this
other
shit
one
better.
is
All right,
next
cool,
year. So
awesome.
they're probably already done.
Yeah, we're gonna watch these. But anyway, the other two films I did not watch. Chris, you want to give us a little bit of insight? Evil Does Not Exist, and I saw the TV Glow.
Yes. Evil Does Not Exist is is a Japanese film that is about how to explain? I guess it's about this like small rural Japanese community that is going to get this new like glamping. I don't know if you know what glamping is. It's like luxury camping. So like an outside company bought some land near this village, and they're coming in to essentially just make their own like campsite there. And it's about like kind of like what it means to like be in this town, live in this town, but also like outsiders trying to come in and like pollute the land and stuff like that. So this movie, I don't know if anyone's here seen Drive My Car, but it's his director's last film. And he has a style just being like his movies are like super slow. Like the first 20 to 30 minutes are just characters walking around in nature and just exploring. So like I didn't see the trailer for this one, so I don't really know what it was about when I saw it. But then when I went to I was like, man, where's the plot for this movie? It's like check out my watch kind of like when is something gonna start? But that's
There's
just
no
kind of
conflict in this movie. Yeah.
that's just kind of the nature of it. But yeah,
Holy
it's about
crap.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it's about like this the main character is this dad, a single father, and like his daughter who's like pretty young. And his dad is like a handyman, and he like goes and like helps everyone else in the town to it's kind of like how they use nature. Like one lady, she runs a restaurant where she serves noodles with like the clean water from around this village. So it's like everyone uses this thing, and this glamping site comes in is wants to come in and kind of like mess everything up with like sewage water and other things. And yeah, one scene like a couple walked out because they thought I was boring. They literally said this is boring and they walked out. Because it was like you know like those like city hall meetings, it was essentially that, but like they're like talking about the the campsite coming in, and it was like super slow. And yeah,
Hmm.
so the I don't want to I don't know who will actually watch this, but I won't spoil the ending. But essentially evil does not exist. I think he's referring to animals, because animals there's not evil animals, you know, they're just that's their nature. So I think that's what it's referring to. I also have to look up like what the ending meant online just because it was kind of ambiguous.
Hmm.
But yeah, that one was not bad, but very, very slow, even as someone who liked his other movie. And then I saw the TV Glow, which is like this new indie movie about these characters who watched a TV show growing up. Like there's like this show that's not really for kids, but it's a kid show kind of thing. I would say it seemed kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like it's sort of for kids, but also not.
Hmm.
Or like even like X-Files, like kind of like that, in that nature. So it's like these people who watched these shows growing up, and it's like how one of them, like how it affect one of their lives. It's very trippy, and because it like goes back and forth in the timeline for this movie. But yeah, it's that was a good one too. It's a great soundtrack if you like indie music. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard to talk about that one too because of the spoilers, because there's a lot of stuff with that one. But yeah, it's good. I think it's already streaming, so you probably check it out there. But yeah.
Nice. Um,
Awesome.
you always get the best movie experiences. There's always someone getting up and leaving. at your movie theater for some reason.
Well, I assume it's the movies I see.
Yeah. This is boring. And then just walk out.
Or maybe it's just that theater, because that one, multiple people have walked out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they just don't know what the movie is.
People have to watch some trailers.
Yeah, okay.
But
Nah, I'm just gonna.
is the main conflict in I saw a TV glow when that is that girl appear and then he has to like go find her?
That's not even like that happens, but he doesn't go find her. He just kind of like goes on with his life.
Oh, he just bums around. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much she wants to run away from her family and like main guy, come with me. And he's like, he like gets cold feet and he pretty much and then she leaves after that without him. And there's also some other weird stuff with the TV show is also there.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
I'll probably give it a shot. I want to see what
You
this.
want to watch a movie that's not the same movie again and good?
I mean, if I'm watching, The Strangers,
Yeah. Why not? You know, why not do a double
why not?
feature? You know,
Why
something
not just
else.
do a
Like,
double
Wait, so
feature?
Taro was good or was it good?
no, no. What are you talking about?
He said it was fantastic.
No, he
No,
didn't.
no, I didn't. This Taro's bad.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
It's really bad. It's like
What?
it's like north of bad. Um,
Last good scary movie I watched was Talk to Me.
What? No, I feel like we watched something else. Jesse, something else.
no,
We'll have to see.
Exorcist sucked.
Abigail,
Uh,
that was a horror movie.
Abigail sucked. I mean, it was a
What?
horror film, but
I like that
it
movie.
was okay. It wasn't like
Someone take this
the
man away.
best. But it wasn't
Let's
like
get
scary. It was
let's
like
get
a
to the review.
comedy horror. It was a comedy horror. It's not the same. It's like the Addams Family. It's like Beetlejuice.
What? How is that not the same? It's still horror.
I don't know. No, it's chore. It's like comedy
Sure.
horror. Yeah, core. I don't know. Anyway, you want to give us a little bit of the breakdown for Furiosa, Mad Max Saga?
Yeah. This is the origin story of the renegade warrior, Furiosa, before her encounter and team up with Max Max from the first movie. Or not from the first, yeah, from the first movie, Mad Max, A Fury Road. This was directed by George Miller, who did all the other Mad Max films and did the Happy Feet films. So that's a
Yeah,
fun,
that's
fun
funny.
tidbit there.
That's funny.
Um, it had Alila Brown, who played young Furiosa, Anya Taylor-Joy, who played Furiosa or adult Furiosa, Chris Hemsworth as Dr. Dementis, and Tom Burke as Praetorian Jack.
Was he an actual
Awesome.
doctor? Like, did he get his doctorate before the world
No,
ended?
I don't think so.
I mean, no standards or boards, right?
No
Technically, yes.
rules.
Yeah, who's
Um,
gonna call him out, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably gonna ask him for like proof, like the historian.
How? How?
Yeah, where's the
Historian.
paperwork? It's all gone.
No, it's just like he's got to prove it, Like if somebody's dying, he's just got to be like, I could save him, and he's got to save him. Uh, anyway, so there are 5 films in this entire franchise, and I've only seen one, this one. Um, so I am lost. But apparently, a
Wait,
decade
were you
later,
lost during this movie?
no, I wasn't lost because this is the first one in the
Yeah.
entire franchise.
Well, I mean,
So I am on.
technically the
I'm
first one is the
lost.
first one.
No, I mean this is Star Wars all over again, right? Like I could watch this one and not lose a thing. This gives me the foundation for the rest of the entire franchise. So it's a fact though, I'm like on par. You know what I mean? It's in the future, but I'm in the past. Or it's in the
The
past, but
first
I'm in the
the first three
future.
are a little, I feel like they're their own thing almost. Just because, yeah. The first one is like post, like pre end of the world, it seems like.
Pre-end of the world.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
pre-apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so with that said, I know you all watched the first film and the second series. Um, but basically from the gist of it is I'm just getting an orange origin story of a character within that one. And we're just basically learning about the origins of like not just her story, but I guess just overall like what's leading up to I guess the war or the fighting. Um,
Well, it leads up to Fury Road.
it leads
Yeah.
up to Fury Road, Mad Max Fury Road,
Yeah.
which is the second one in this franchise or in this series. So it's Mad Max Fury Road and uh Mad Max Furiosa. Um,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. The
So
other one came out 9 years ago. Can you believe that? That's crazy.
yeah, well, half of that is due to COVID. And the other
Also, I
half,
think there's like stuff with like paying people. I think
stuff
like
with
Warner Brothers messed that up for the Fury Road or
yeah,
something.
but there was something like in Australia, and I think there was the fires. And then I guess there was like a wet summer or something, and everything turned green, which is great, but not great if you want deserts. And then COVID happened. There was a bunch of stuff. Anyway, we finally got it. Yay. But spoiler-free thoughts on this movie, Chris? Are you a big fan? Big fan. Um,
Yeah, Fury Road is one of my favorite movies.
okay. How did this one
So,
measure up to that one?
I mean, I feel like this one is definitely a little different, just like how it's paced.
Okay.
Because Fury Road is essentially one long action scene, and this is like takes place over Furiosa's life leading up to Fury Road. So like it's like more like learning more about the world and her character as she grows up and lives with all those crazy characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really like this one as well. Like not as much as Fury Road, but still very good in my opinion. And there's a lot of like cool action scenes in this, like very creative stuff. Stuff that we didn't see back in Fury Road. So it's nice that there's still some differences. And I will say I do wish Furiosa had a little more to, I don't know, like she's the main character, but also like she says like 30 lines in this entire movie. Like so I don't know, I guess I wanted a little more out of her, especially like adult Furiosa. I feel like they kind of yada yada a lot of that stuff. Like there are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
time skips in this movie, especially at the end, which I don't know, I guess I would have liked some more from her that part. Like I think like the little girl is young Furiosa is like in most of this movie compared to Anna Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, that
Um,
that first half is a good chunk time of the
yeah.
runtime.
Chris Hemsworth is a lot of fun as the villain. Like he's just chewing up the scenery. Like he's not a great like leader, but like he's always fun to watch when he's in this movie. He's really good in it. And I was a little worried when I saw like the first trailer about the CG stuff because it kind of looked video gamey in there, but I feel like it looks pretty well in the movie
Hmm.
overall.
Yeah.
And yeah, speaking of that, they for when they did like the young Furiosa when she was like growing up through the movie, they like CG'd Anna Taylor-Joy like her face slowly on her, so she looked more and more like her when she progressed through
Got
the film.
older. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Yeah, so it was good. What about you, Charlie?
Um, yeah, I liked it. Yeah. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked all the lore. that we kind of learned from this movie. Because like you said, the first one was just a big action film, and this was more, there was a story, there's a middle of the story, beginning and end. There was a whole arc that kind of Furiosa had to go through, and it's not done. So, right, because we have the Fury Road hmm, movie itself, but I liked all the lore that came with it. Bullet Town, freaking the Citadel, Crimson Dementis was super cool. Liked his background, like the way he like came up and did his things and the inner conflicts within his own um group, right, that we see. So all those kind of little things that we learn along the way, I think were super cool to see fleshed out. I believe there were some moments, so it's not like a one big huge action film, right? But I feel like they still try to capture the some of the aspects of Mad Max Fury Road in this movie, and sometimes it hit and sometimes it didn't. And I feel like um the whole like zoom in, like fast pace, whatever, whatever they're doing, where they're like either, freaking reloading their gun or freaking driving a car, where it's like, they like zoom in on the person and now you're going like super fast or whatever. Um, Sometimes it worked. Definitely worked in one action film where it kind of like captured me. Other times you kind of see it that like, oh, they just kind of did it on, just kind of threw it in there, just do it on purpose, just to kind of match the first film, but it didn't super work well with me. That's the only like kind of complaint I had. I have one other complaint, but I'm just being nitpicky at this point. But overall, yeah, I liked it. Did I like it as much as Fury Road? Um, no, I still like Fury Road a lot. But I do like seeing origins, lore, more characters. And yeah, I would agree with you, Chris. I wish she would have spoken more, said more, or there are just more lines to give her than um just like tidbits of stuff. And yeah, what about you, Eddie?
Yeah. I enjoyed the film. It was good. It kept I kept wanting to see what was coming up. So it kept me engaged pretty much the entire film. I don't know how I feel about what you guys are saying. But I understand now that you're bringing it up. Um, the lack of communication that was there. Uh, I would want to say it's part of the character, but I don't know. Because I guess I'm trying to put it in perspective because for the majority of her life, she had to be quiet. So it was just quiet. So that just kind of poured over to adulthood because she couldn't say anything. Not only
Right.
about like because like hiding the green place, but like she had to pretend to be a boy and the high pitched voice at some point would have probably given her away. I'm just saying like she did everything she could to avoid being detected. Um, so the character itself requires her not to say anything. Um,
That's true. I guess I just wanted more of her as an adult
right. No, no, no. And
because I feel like a
I get
lot
that
of that
aspect.
was
Yeah.
skipped over at
Yeah.
least.
No, no, no. It does because it's like, I thought I thought it was going, when I saw the chapter things, which I assume this is how these movies are. I don't know. Or it's like one, two, three, four, five. I thought it was gonna be like one, right, child, two, adolescence and figuring stuff out and learning like skills and trades and like how to fight and how to shoot, and then like adulthood. You put it all together. But it wasn't that. It was like chapter one, this is her. Chapter two, this is what's going around while she's still a child, and like putting the premise of like who's fighting for what and what are they trying to do, right? So on and so forth. So yeah, I would agree with you on that aspect where it was just like you just went from a child and then you're grown up. There was one scene. There was one scene when she's like, I guess between a teenager and an adult, where she's like working the wheel now, like she's like a wheel person. Um, and then it's like, boom, you're a full blown adult doing missions. Um, so I guess on that point I would agree with you. But overall, I mean, the movie itself did a good job. I think every actor in this movie did a really good job. Um, Very convincing. I don't know who played the people who were like CGI'd, but that shit was creepy. Um, all of it was kind of weird, creepy, futuristic type of thing. Um, but it was good. Um, Ending, I don't know, because I'm assuming I have to watch the other one in order to get the ending on this one. I don't know. We could go over
Well,
the
yes,
spoilers.
now that you've seen this, are you interested in watching more of that?
Yeah, yeah, I'm down to see Fury Road. Just to see where was going.
Hmm.
I'm assuming there's Easter eggs that are dropped in this film for the next film, or the previous film.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just because, well, I assume none of these characters will continue. Um, Maybe I don't know the whole lore. Um, but definitely overall, like just the performances, the storyline was great. I liked it. But how it ends or like what is implied or things, little stuff on we get on the spoilers. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. Um, Anything else any of you want to mention before we move on to spoilers?
Just a random fact. Do you guys know the character who like wore like a suit and he had like his nipples exposed? That guy, like,
Yeah,
yeah, that character in this movie.
yeah.
He
Like
was
the really big guy.
no the the guy he like a chain on his nipples. Like he would like tweak the I don't know.
Uh,
There was a guy. He has
Ugh,
like
the
he played
main
with his nipples like
guy.
most of this movie. Like, yeah, so that guy is actually the former Prime Minister of Australia.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one. Yeah, yeah.
Just a
He's
little
switching up
tidbit.
roles now. He's the
Is
people eater.
He's the people eater nipple guy.
Yep.
Cool. And just needed to put that in there, Chris, before we go into spoilers.
Yeah,
So
people need to know.
you gotta know. You just gotta know.
He
It was
led
a
the
fun fact,
people,
you know?
and now he's like, I'm gonna get into acting.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, with that very special tidbit, we are going into spoilers. Um, so I assume everything that's going through this film has some kind of a symbolic nature. Um, moving forward. Her arm, her arm cutting cut off. Um, the teddy bear. Um, the guy who needs a breathing machine, and the virgins. I assume all of this has to move carries on to the next film to some degree.
Yeah,
Um,
the guy with the breeding machine and Morton Joe is like the villain for Fury Road.
okay. And okay, so this sets up, yeah, but is he the villain though?
Yes, he is the villain.
But in this movie, he's not the villain
I mean, yeah, he's technically not the villain in this movie.
because he's fighting the real villain.
Yes.
So in the second one, how does it become the villain? Did they explain that?
I mean, yeah, the
Yes.
he's hoarding water to himself and like food,
Okay,
and he's also has like slave brides that he keeps.
okay.
So
So
that's why,
that's
like,
why
at the
he's
end of
bad.
this movie, you see Furiosa with the women rescuing them.
Yeah, but in this post-apocalyptic world, those were the rules, right?
made by him.
No, no, no. I meant like the guy who was in charge of the gas town, the guy who was in charge of like the food, and then the real bad guy in this film, which is Dementors. So like there was understanding amongst the bad people of how society worked in this post-apocalyptic world, and then somebody else came and disrupted that.
Yeah, in this movie it was Dementus.
So there's levels of badness here. I'm not trying to save face on anyone. I'm just saying like there are clearly more evil people than the evil people that exist.
Well, it was also, I mean, you haven't seen this movies, but yeah, but it was also she was going
They're all
home.
evil. It's just a transfer
Yeah.
of power.
And
Yeah.
the reason she like took the women with her because she was trying to get home. Like this movie, like her the whole her arc is like trying to get home the whole entire movie. So that's like she's gonna bring them with her to her home.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's yeah. Yeah. Um but um we're basically we're getting in this film we're just getting her not just her background but I guess her motivation towards like who she is in Mad Max Fury Road, like her motivation, her background of like why she's this badass character. I don't know Furiosa's character's role in Mad Max. Um, but in this film, I guess I would ask, do you all believe it does justice to the character?
Yeah, I believe so. I do think they, like I said earlier, like they definitely skipped over a lot of her like growth as like, oh, now she can drive the rigs and she can be out as like a female like rig driver like with no problem. Like I feel like that's stuff is kind of skipped over, but I guess yeah, I see where how she becomes the character in Fury Road though.
In this film, Chris Helmsworth, I think, does a really good job. Um, he has a weird, funny accent, which was pretty funny. But in this film, he's like the main villain. Um, I don't I don't know at this point. I think I would want to see an origin story of him and just going back on origin stories of people characters that are introduced. Because at the end of the film, he's dead. And there's like this lore of like what happened to him or whatever, but we'll get there too. We'll get to that. But the character itself seems like he's Joker-esque type, where he's just a complete psychopath, but has I don't want to say sound, but he has a twisted, like a very twisted, dark perception of the world. Granted, it's post-apocalyptic, but um, of like how you know he treats everybody around him and how he goes about you know being the leader of this little fraction that he has, this little faction that he has of just like murderers and thieves and stuff like that. Um, so I liked his arc, kind of overall from the movie. Um, but it start like we mentioned, it starts off with Furiosa, like she gets kidnapped, and when she gets kidnapped, the people who kidnapped her basically um found her in a place where there's a bunch of resources like water and fruit and meat and stuff like that, basically paradise in a hellhole. So they kidnap her with the idea of getting her to Dementus to bring them back to that place.
Yeah,
Um,
and like taking it.
but my thought process there is like, couldn't they just have left and come back? I mean, they already know where they were, right?
Who? Who are you talking?
Like the people who killed the horse, like the five people who came in.
Well, yeah, Furiosa's mom just murdered all of them,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I feel like if
which
they
was
would have
pretty
just
badass. Like
if they
her
would have
sniping them.
oh yeah, that was pretty cool. But if they would have just left and separated and then met back at home, wouldn't it have been better? Because they already know where this is at. They didn't really need the girl. They already knew where they were. I mean, they found it themselves, so they could have
I
just
think.
left
Well, I assume it's
and gotten
like
back
they wouldn't believe them potentially, so they need to take the girl.
as like proof.
Yeah, that's why like the one guy who was like the last guy alive was like telling them like we need. I always speak to Dementis and like need to show him, tell him, and yeah, Furiosa just murdered that guy too as a kid.
Yeah, as a kid, this girl had like no fear. Um, which again, young Furiosa is pretty well. Like I'm assuming that some kind of fostering as a young child, instilling her that or anybody for that matter. Um, don't tell anybody. Be resourceful. Like learn your way of the ways. Because the entire time we see young Furiosa, she's like tattooing her way how to get back home, navigating through the stars. You know, not letting anything go. I mean, she witnesses the death of her mother, right in front of her eyes, being tortured. And still doesn't say anything. Um, which I still think like you fucked up. You should have just ran. But
Oh yeah, as her
child,
mom kills like 15
children's gonna
people in front of her.
yeah, yeah, children's are gonna children. So uh, but yeah, very gruesome. She's that sticks with her. Obviously, that's embedded and just like scorned in her head. So um, eventually, as the story moves along, we get introduced to the other people. The white guy, whatever his name is. What his name? Uh,
Who?
the guy with the
Which
breathing
white
machine.
guy? Oh, Immortan Joe.
Morton Joe. This guy's funny. This guy's got hella messed up children and even more messed up names for his children. Um,
Yes.
it's like, come on, man. Like you know
Yes,
you
Meg
gotta be able
and Scrotus.
like you gotta know that those are
Rictus.
just
Yeah.
names. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's just messed up. Um,
Rectus Erectus. Yeah.
Yep. And Scrotus.
uh, so everybody gets, they meet and they're like, she's getting to see how, I guess, what outside of paradise really looks like. Um, eventually there's a trade or a negotiation with Dementis and a machine guy. I'm just gonna call him machine guy. I can't remember his name. And in that the transaction happens where young Furiosa gets traded, for the sole purpose of waiting for her to grow up so he could read with her.
Hmm.
That's kind of disgusting
Yep.
and yeah. Um, but even more disgusting, as I want to get your guys' opinion. One of his sons tries to kidnap her. But he
No,
takes her to his
I mean, he definitely does it. He takes her from
he kidnaps her. He
there.
takes her from there. But
Yep.
he takes her to his room and it's full of like children's heads on like baby plastic. I don't know if this guy is sick or if he was gonna do something to the little girl.
I mean,
I don't.
he literally broke her chastity belt off her.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, he was just
what do you
smelling
think's gonna
his hair.
happen?
I didn't see that. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they like he
Um,
used like cutters or something.
okay. Yeah, but he
Yeah.
used wire cutters, but then he started smelling his hair. I don't know. He's like a dumb person. Like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know. This guy weird. Anyway, she's able to run away by cutting her own hair, which is pretty funny. Very specific. Um, like she knew that's what that was going to be needed for. She runs away and she's able to just like escape. So that's where her like journey of like not letting anybody know who her true identity is starts. But it's very difficult because she needs to, I guess, maintain her anonymity as a boy in this like boy world. There's just a lot of guys in here. Somebody's breeding all these people. Um, but there's just like a lot of guys there. So I guess her teenage years, she just pretends to be like one of the guys for like 10, 15 years, 19 years. How long was it?
I don't think it was that long, was it?
At least 10. No, no,
Yeah.
no, not at least 10. At most 10.
Um, she gets promoted in that. And then she gets promoted and she's like climbing up the ranks. Yeah, this is where I could agree with you, Chris, or is like, well, she just kind of takes giant steps to move forward, but we don't really get to see any of the actual, you know, crafting and the shaping of who she is, of her talents and stuff. She kind of just like she got lucky that this happened and she was able to help out. And then she's like, all right, cool. Now I'm the person in charge, type of deal.
Yeah.
Sure. But everybody takes kind to her. Everybody's like knows what's the nickname they gave her? Tiny or something. I forgot what the name was. Um, but yeah, then she grows up and then she goes out and the movie continues. In this part of the movie, I guess all the other stuff in the background is happening. At some point, at some point, the other bad guys are just like that's what I didn't really appreciate from this movie. We lose a lot of storyline of like they really make it an importance to make part of the storyline, but then it just goes away until she's an adult. So like it seems like there's no conflict or anything for 10 years at the very most. Everybody's fine. There's nothing happening anywhere. Only when she's an adult is something like, oh shoot, something's going down. We need to like why did it take him 10 years? You know what I'm saying? Like why did it take him 10 years to want to take over? I don't know.
Well, I
I don't know.
guess, well, no, he took over Gas Town and then he traded Furiosa or she was given away. And then I assume Gas Town was just like working for them. Fine.
Oh, they didn't like run it down?
Well, yeah, that was like, let's say 10 years. And then stuff is just not going well there anymore because he doesn't know how to run Gas Town or whatever.
Which again, also a thing, like he's like they're clearly implying that they're overpopulated and there isn't enough resources. But who's like breed like where are these people coming? Who's breeding who's giving birth to these people? Full grown ass adult. Where are they popping out from? Like I don't know how you're increasing the population that fast in a short amount of time. Like are they just popping out like daisies? I don't understand. I don't know where all
I
these
mean,
extra people are coming from.
people still have kids, even in the apocalypse.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I did not see
They're
women
coming
in
from
I did
somewhere.
not see women here. I saw the special virgins that were being tortured, like kept as
None of
sex
those were
slaves
virgins.
or whatever. Um, but that's the limit of the women I saw in Anna Taylor Joy. Everybody else were guys.
No, there are women in the like the weird like Immortan Joe's like camp area. Like there are women there. And there's also I assume people working in Gastown, they need people to keep working. So, right? Where do you
I
get those
mean,
people?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
where you get all these people from because that population looked like it doubled in the span of like Anya Taylor Joy's lifetime, which I don't know
That
how
would
that
be
math
easy
works,
if
but
you were kept going out there finding small groups
oh,
and
okay.
taking them over, right?
Oh, so
Maybe.
yeah, maybe, yeah,
I mean, we
maybe
saw
just like
that, right? Very Joker-esque.
I am.
that's true.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe he's
There
just
are
been doing
four
that.
positions and there are eight of you. Figure it out.
Yeah, that was wicked how they fought for positions and then just straight murdered their teammate with motorcycles. That was pretty cool. That was pretty gnarly.
Hmm.
Um, so as an adult, the main focus of Furiosa is to get back home. So everything that we see her learn and try to do and eventually try to escape is just for her to get back home. She knows how to get back home. But eventually it turns into what? Revenge. When she kind of finds out she's able to get revenge on the person who killed her mother. So she starts losing her way, which I assume is part of the arc of her character in this movie. But she starts losing her way because initially it was she wants to go home, but now she just wants to go out and get revenge and murder. Um,
I feel
so I
like, yeah,
don't.
she was
Mhm.
already like mad at him for killing her mom, but then when the other guy died, Jack died, it's probably like revenge time. And
Yeah, it
she
was
lost
like
her
the
arm
last
too,
straw.
so she's just doubly pissed.
Yeah, she loses her arm in this wicked thing. So for a lot for the action scenes in this movie, I mean they do take out some runtime, but I mean that's great. There really isn't anything to learn about in this movie other than what's already given to you in the exposition. Everything else is just like action. It's just fighting scenes. Um, which I enjoy. It was like, all right, explain what the premise is, and then go right into action. And that's pretty much all this movie was. It was like explain, action, explain, action, explain, action. Like it was just that. It just kept moving the story forward. Like there wasn't anything to gauge aside from, her motivation and, the things that came around that. Like I think it does a really good job of just like setting that up. Once she like even like the first third of this movie is her trying to go back and then her trying to escape, and in her trying to escape the first time she gets caught up in the middle of like a heist, so she helps out the main person, and in that, she's like, oh, you're gone, you could go whatever, or you could stay with me and I could teach you and you could go, eventually do what you need to do after you've gained the skills and the knowledge that you need to. And it's there that obviously the shift in like her original plan of just trying to get back home to I could get I could get back home, but as a bonus I could go murder this person. Um type deal. So that whole second part of it is just that. And then by the time you get to the third arc, that's what they're, she's become like the main person, and the third act is just like trying to, he, I guess she proposes it to him. I don't know how that. Can you guys remind me how that came about?
What part?
How she ends up proposing to him to leave with him?
Well, I think like you said, he knows about what she wants to do. She wants to leave. And in I think it's like right when Dementis takes over Bullet Town, like before that, like he's like, okay, we're gonna switch spots. You go in this small car with the two motorcycles and gas and water, and I'll take the big rig. And that's like when she was supposed to go home, essentially.
But she didn't.
Yeah, because
No, because she went back for him
yeah,
But
to
that wasn't
save
part of the
him
plan.
from the ambush.
yeah.
But they knew it was
I
an
had a
ambush, no?
feeling he knew it was going to be an ambush.
But that's the thing. Yeah, it's like I thought he knew it was going to be an ambush, and he was going in there with the idea of him dying for that reason, to let her go.
I don't know about that.
Like
If he
I
knew,
kind of feel like he felt that there was going to be an ambush there. So I don't know. It just
hmm,
the ambush in itself felt like it was supposed to be part of it, or it came out to be part of it, but felt a little bit too on the nose about being part of it. Um, like
I don't
her
think so.
staying, her staying and coming back and trying to, you know, save him, essentially save him. Um, no, probably not. It's just that whole thing leading up to it just felt different. Um,
I feel like if they all knew that this was gonna happen, they would have planned better. Because like most of the war boys died immediately as soon as they got there, you know.
yeah,
If
yeah.
they knew it was ambush, like because even the Bullet Town guy, like he was surprised. He didn't think it actually they were taken over and when she came back. He's like that can't happen. That's my town.
That's
It's
true.
my turn.
I thought it
Yeah.
was because he had a gut feeling something was going to go wrong, and that's why he put her in that car. But him setting her up for her to leave makes a lot more sense.
I mean,
Um,
like
Yeah,
they don't show a
despite
lot of
whether it was ambush or not, whether he knew it was going to be an ambush or not.
yeah.
Also,
In
did you guys can you guys tell who was from Bullet Town? He was literally wearing like he was wearing just like a hat of bullets. I don't know if you saw him, but it was just like this cover on his head, and it was
yeah,
just all painted bullets.
he's in Fury Road as well.
I just found that funny. Like, all right, dude, we get it. You're from Bullet Town. We
we
get
get it. You like bullets.
it.
So at this point, they're just running off. Well, they're trying to run off. Because in the midst of that, all that, they somehow, the Mentor somehow survives, and they end up catching up to him, catching up to them. Um, and in that, she loses her arm, loses him. Well, she doesn't lose her arm. She gets her arm crushed, and then she gets tortured by hanging by that tortured arm. And then the guy, what's his name?
Jack.
Get these people named Jack. Jack is being tortured by just like being growled around a motorcycle all around for like what seems hours.
Yeah,
Um,
he died pretty
yeah,
quick,
he's
probably.
dead. But in all that, I guess no one paid attention that Furiosa literally just cut off her freaking arm and just ran away. Like
I
she
mean, there
just,
was smoke. There was everyone was riding the motorcycle, I guess. The
True.
dust.
I
A lot
just
of
meant like
dust, a lot of commotion.
Yeah.
No one's paying
com-
attention. You're just going
coming
around in
back, but
circles.
just coming back to the beginning of what we were saying. There's a reason why she didn't say anything because this girl did not scream or agonize or anything. This girl just like I don't know how, but she just said F it. Either she like made herself heavy or got a knife or something and just started gnawing all the way, or maybe she just chewed her arm off. I don't know. I wish I would have been able to see that. As far as like, an audience member, as opposed to just being like, it's just an arm there. I was like, no, how? Like, you know, how does she, hacksaw her arm off?
I imagine her arm was already like Swiss cheese. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just
it
like
wasn't
it
that
was pretty
hard.
bad. Um, at some point, her arm starts getting full of maggots. Ugh, because she's like
Well,
decomposing.
after she escapes, like you see her like pass out, and you also see Mad Max like in the foreground, him just standing by his car. You
Oh,
see
is
that
that who
part?
that was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, who's watching him by that car? Seemed a little particular.
Yeah, that's Mad Max. Um, and yeah, so she essentially gets taken in by this woman who's like eats bodies, I assume. They're like a cannibal because she's like cutting up other people's bodies in there and then she escapes. Yeah, like
Yeah.
she had like maggots all over like her. It was pretty gross
That was
looking.
nasty. That was nasty as shit.
Yeah. No wonder she lost her rest of her arm, like ugh.
But this builds to the climax of the movie at the which is essentially the end of the movie, where she gets out of the hole and she's like, "Hey, it's me," and they're like, "No way, where have you been this entire time?" Since nobody went out to rescue them, I guess they said, "F it," they're lost. Um, I would hate to be part of this, but anyway, they're like, "Oh, and then she goes and be like, "Hey, this is going down. This is what he's trying to do. We literally just came from there." And they're like, "No." I was like, "What are you talking about? No, she has no arm. She has Sand's arm. She looks like she's on the from inches of death. Why wouldn't you just leave her?" Uh, it's like in any given circumstance, I feel like I'd be like, well, she has one arm.
How did she get in there?
She
Well,
rode up
Imagine there's
she wrote
like
up
the
the
lift
thing
thing.
because remember she was
yeah,
special
but
because
then
she was like
into
the
like the
writer.
war room essentially. Must have been levels
Well,
of
because she was
security.
a ranker. She was a ranker. She was a
Oh, that
rank.
is true.
Yeah, she was a rank. So she's just like, it's me. I should be part of this meeting. uh, so they develop a plan of like, oh, what's going on? And then the boys The boys are wild, man. Well, I don't know what they sniff. There's something that they put in their face before they're
I
gonna
think it's just like
unalive
chrome,
It's
themselves.
just like
chrome spray paint.
spray paint.
But
Yeah.
does that like give them energy? Does it make them
Nope.
No.
not feel
It's
anything? Is
nope.
it like
Nope.
It's
symbolic?
well, yeah,
It's
it's
just
symbolic for it's like I'm doing this and I'm gonna go to Valhalla.
All right, but if you do that and you don't kill yourself, are there ramifications for sniffing that? Like I don't I just
Oh,
need to
it's I
know.
mean, you're living in a post-apocalyptic
I
world, you
just
know.
I
There's
just
gonna
meant like,
be
like you have
sniffing something, huffing paint is the last of your worries
maybe you
in
have
this world.
bronchitis, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just
I
felt
mean, they would
like
have sprayed
I don't
on
know
their
what it
in their mouth,
was.
so
Yeah, I don't know what it was though. I just need to know what this thing was because I don't know if it gave them the courage to just go unalive themselves, but
I'm
these people are down. These people are down for the cause. Like
oh
they
yeah,
just do not give an F. You know what I'm saying? Like
like
this
earlier in the
clan,
movie, like
yeah.
when Dr. Dementis is coming to the Citadel and it's like, oh yeah, man, Morton Joe's like, hey, pick one of my boys and see what happens. And he's like, that one. And then he just jumps off and suicide bombs them.
Yeah. He's like, that's everybody here. Everybody here. Uh,
Will
you
and can do the same.
we're just gonna kill you or murder you. Um, yeah. So coming back, just wanted to put a side note there. Crazy, 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 crazy boys down for it. Um, this leads up to the climax where everybody's, just and essentially what it is just one giant fight. Um,
Well, like they kind of just like skip over the entire like 40-day war, which is like
yeah.
that's happening while Furiosa's getting their arm, like robot arm fixed or
I don't know how
whatever.
you do it in 40 days. Honestly, that thing has gangrene. I feel like she probably would have died.
No, like
Um,
she cleaned up her
No, you
arm
just
after
chop it
that. I
off.
think it's
Yeah,
more like she was getting a
you just
robot
chop
arm
it off and
fixed.
put it into like alcohol or something and just make it stop or something. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
essentially.
I don't know how that would work. But I imagine it was incredibly painful. So yeah, that's another thing is that there is action. It is a 40-day war. Like they
Which
give
we
a
don't
little
see
brief
any
of
of it.
like there was the war of like resources and the war for like I don't know whatever. There was like little snippet of all the wars and it was like the 40-day war. Yeah, it was just like little snippets of it. I really wish I would have been able to see that just to see it go up against each other. I would imagine it would be a combination of like Twisted Metal and like the Civil War, where you have people going up against each other fighting, but then you have just random cars riding around shooting guns and stuff. So I feel like they really missed an opportunity here to kind of just show what a 40-day war would look like. And as it progressively moves forward, how much more intense it gets, but like with less people. Because they're
I think they
literally picking
missed
up
it
bodies and stuff.
in in that like space. I don't think they missed it overall because when like the huge war rig was getting attacked, we saw like just a plethora of just like weapons used. Right, there were people like which shout out to this movie because I think it was just overall creative. There's people like coming in by parachute. There are people like
Hmm.
using big ass fans to propel themselves. There was like a what's it called? Like a seesaw going on. Everybody's using like sphere what's it called?
Like
Uh
explosives on
yeah, explosives. Like
on a
why is that the
stick.
weapon of choice? I don't know, but everyone just seems to be really good at it too.
Everybody likes the boom boom.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you can throw those. You don't have to like throw your body at the car. Nope.
Yeah. There's like a car, and then you have paragliders
Hmm.
attached to the car who like hook onto the rig and pull themselves in. Like this is on a whole nother level of shit. I imagine it would have been like that times maybe two, but still.
Yeah, we
I
also
get
see
your I get
the
your
guitar
point,
guy
Eddie,
at the end.
but I appreciate yeah, I get your point, but I get everything. I really
I
like the
just watch Fury Road. There's more of that
yeah.
in
Yeah,
there.
no, no, no. Yeah. Well, I just meant like I guess my angle is more of a cinematography aspect, not necessarily for storyline or anything like that. More so just for like I mean, the film itself does like a really, I feel like it does a really good job of like putting little, symbolic things in the movie as things move forward without, I guess, forcing it. Although some of it might be just like up in the air, but it's established and you can see it moving forward. Um, so with this, it would have been just like, I don't know, maybe it would have extended the runtime. I don't, what is this, like a 2 hour and 30 minute movie?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, so extended 3 hours might have just been too much for the director. Because I could see it like, it's even, and then like one side is get a little advantage, and then they're able to, the other side's be able to fight back, and now it looks like they're gonna take over. It probably would
Hmm.
have been its own chapter amongst the five in itself. And it would have been a little bit longer. But with that being said, um, all this time Furiosa is like getting ready and like I'm gonna get ready and move forward, and she ends up getting her metal arm out, and then she ends up stealing a car just to go murder this person, go murder Dementus. She ends up, I guess, well, I like it's a callback to her mom at the beginning of the movie, which I thought was pretty cool, where she goes and snipes these people, and then eventually finds the main person. So she's going and trying to find them, and he murders them. She murders them, and eventually finds the Mentis. I think this final speech really was like the encompassing of the movie. Um,
Oh, 100%.
yeah, I think I wasn't expecting that. But this is what I meant by like the Joker-esque type idea of what Dementus represents in the movie, as well as like what he means to her.
Hmm.
And the speech is just delivered so well. Um, and she's finally getting confronted with everything that she hates, but kind of became or is trying to not become. And you could see her struggling internally with that. She doesn't know how to resolve it. And that gets expressed in physics. Like she hits him. Does this guy have a seizure in the middle? Like, I feel like he gets a seizure, doesn't he? Like
Yeah, it seems
she
like it,
hits him
right?
so hard, and he
Yeah.
just
Hmm.
like gets in a seizure. I was like, man, this guy's dead. Yeah, you're trying not to kill him, but I think you killed him. um,
I thought it
I
was
will
so
just
but
say
playing
I
playing into the what his
oh,
final like
his final, yeah,
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
I did like how it wasn't just like them like a gunfight or something. It was like her getting to like his camp, like taking his bullets, like taking everything from him before like finally like talking and confronting him. And he's like, "Who are you? I don't remember who you are." You have to like I killed so many people. You have to be more specific.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
took everything from me. I
It's
don't
like I don't
even
even know who
know.
you
I don't even
are.
know
Yeah.
who you are. I mean, but that's it. As there's only I can't even remember. I know there's quite a number, like two or three films that does that very well, where it's like for you, I'm everything, but for me, it was Wednesday or whatever. It
Exactly.
was
Yeah.
like, it was like to you, I mattered this much, but to me, this was just like this was it. Your whole purpose, your whole drive is me. And I live rent free in your head and will continue to live rent free even after long you dispose of me or whatever, which is kind of what he's hinting at in that speech. But more so is like he explains is like, you're just like me, and she's like, no, I'm not. And she's like, no, yeah, we lost loved ones, we've suffered the things we've seen, the things we've had to do. Like, you know, Dementus wasn't that. He turned into that the same way he turned her into who she is. That wasn't her goal. That wasn't who she was. She was just trying to get home. You know, she was just living at
Hmm.
home. It
Yep.
just kind of happened. And that realization of her has just like, well, it's like, well, if you kill me, you become me type thing. I, I wouldn't go that far, but the movie presents it itself. And it does a very good job of doing so. So you see the actual, I guess, anguish, disgust, and like realization and Furiosa's like mind, and she's just like she doesn't know what to do. And I think that that really does a good, the movie does a really good job of making it come full circle because we just think this guy's the guy's just psycho. But obviously there's an underlying there. There's a history there as well of something that created this psychopath of a person. Um, so I guess that at the end of there's a epilogue of like what she did to him. Um, is there any truth to that, or is this just like,
We don't really know. So
Yeah,
it's like
you know
I
as much
assume
as we do.
it feels like a tale. Like this is the tale of Furiosa. It's like some parts are fictional, some parts are real, kind of like that. Like
oh, I didn't know
we
like
don't
in Mad
know
Max
the
there was a
true.
tree somewhere like
I
that
don't think
they
so.
go to or something.
No. There's
No.
Oh, okay.
nothing. You know, to see the guy with the tree guy.
No, I just man, it's like I don't know. No, not just a guy. Maybe it's been so long they deteriorated, but the tree still stands or some shit. I don't know.
Well, like where this movie ends, it seems like that end of this movie is essentially the beginning of Fury Road.
Right, and they do show a little bit of that at the end of this movie, like what's going on Fury Road and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it does a good job of just like doing the connecting and kind of moving flawlessly. So when I do watch Mad Max Fury Road, while I'll be watching an older movie, I'll be able to just follow along the storyline, which is great to kind of get the whole picture of what's going on. Um, but essentially, that's where it ends. She saves the captured, tortured women of the breeder women, um, and they leave. And that I guess is beginning of beginning of well, the end of her lore, but the beginning of the next step in the next movie, in the next series of what's going on. Um,
Hmm.
because I don't know right what's going on. Do you all think everything is set up nicely from this movie to the next?
Other than thinking it went by a little fast, some parts, I think it sets up her character like as this like badass warrior person that we see in Fury Road, who still cares about people, but also like is determined to get to where she needs to go. And also like where that movie goes with when she finally gets to the place she's looking for, like how like I'm definitely interested in the rewatch Fury Road, like seeing the backstory for her in this one, like to see how does that feel? Does that hit more knowing like what she went through kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think the badassness with the she still kind of cares about somebody or people. Right. It kind of when you watch Fury Road, Eddie, you'll I'll point out the callback to like kind of the final Crims Hemsworth, their final conversation, right? About who you are, who you are
Simba.
really. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll make sure. I mean, I definitely want to watch the next one, but based on that, I guess, and wrapping up Furiosa as that was, uh, where do you think these movies are going? So we have the meat and bones of it, the crux of like Fury Road, and then we have kind of a setup type thing with a particular character, but also sets up what sounds like a very, the premise to move forward to the next movie, which is Furious Road. Where do you think this is gonna go? Do you think the next film is going to be kind of like more so like the original Mad Max, or it's just like ever going fighting for resources? Do you think will be a conclusion? Um, do you think these characters will have some kind of impact on the third one? Is she still alive in the second one? or in the first
Yes,
one, I
you'll
should
have to
say.
watch and see.
I don't
Um,
know.
yeah, we're like
Are there
where
more
do you think?
sequels coming?
I don't know. I know this one was planned since Fury Road, so I don't know if he has something else. But I did hear that like actors who worked on these movies didn't really care for it just because you're out in the desert of Australia for a while, like months.
No
And
one likes
I assume
Australia.
the action, like a lot of it is practical in these movies, so I assume it's pretty grueling to work on these. But yeah, I'd like to see more. I know like the first three Mad Max, the original ones, those ones are sort of like not anthology kind of, because like it's just like Mad Max going to town, helping people out. So you can like do bring Tom Hardy back and then just do him helping other people or doing other things, or you can do other characters, and I don't know.
Okay.
I would like to see more, but who knows if we'll get more, especially since the George Miller's pretty old now, getting up there.
Yeah, but he's not. All he's doing is writing these, right?
No, he's directing these.
Oh, he's directing them.
Yeah. So hopefully. What about you, Charlie? Is there anything you like to see more in this world for a sequel or spinoff?
For a sequel, for a spin-off? Nothing comes to mind.
I think. I think for me, well, after I watch the second one, I think I would want the a next installment of this to focus on an entirely different character or a different part of the world or the environment with
Hmm.
tie-ins or callbacks to these two. Uh, Furiosa being very specific to this one character that is involved in the next one, but there are additional characters in here that are portrayed and that are kind of just there, um, that we might have just foregone, but they're still part of the story. They're alive somewhere. Um, Maybe the old man is still alive. I don't know. Um, or her mother. They come across the Greenland or whatever if they haven't already in Fury Road. Have they met in Fury Road?
Guess you'll have to watch to
Or that's
see.
kind of like a
I'll take
yes.
like a I'll take like a War Boy origin story, maybe. Or like a side story on the War Boys.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe survivors of the original Gas Town before it got taken over. Bullet Town, maybe a little bit more something going on. But
Yeah, we don't even see really anyone from Bullet Town other than
yeah,
they're just like chilling in that ravine or whatever.
Yeah.
so something along the lines of that, where we don't necessarily get introduced, like it's not about we get a new character introduced, but it's not necessarily all about them. It's more so like a narration of that individual, and then what he or she or they have seen through their lens and their perspective, but it still ties in with the overall movie or the overall like storyline of the movie, with callbacks here and there, from both of these, um and seeing how that goes. But I would be interested to see that one, so I want to watch this one, and if they do bring up anything else, I'd probably be game to go watch that. um is there anything else that you want to go over, that we discussed, or that we missed in this movie?
Um, yeah, just a little thing. This is the worst Memorial Day weekend opening
Oh yeah, I
for
heard that.
movies in 30 years since 1994. Do you want to guess what movie bombed in 1994? Memorial Day weekend?
Aladdin.
Independence Day?
Casper, the Friendly Ghost.
Oh.
Ah,
That made 22 million its opening
That
weekend.
that's such a good movie though.
I love that
Yeah, well,
movie.
I mean, this is a good movie, and it made like
Yeah,
30
I heard they made
million.
like half of what? A quarter of the budget? Half of the budget?
Yeah, it's this movie's 168 million and it made 65.1 million its opening weekend.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And even Garfield did pretty poorly, despite there not being a lot of like kid movies out right now. So not good for movies.
Jeez. I guess people were just out and about.
Yeah, I guess so.
Um, man, movies are just barely clinging on to survival here. Um, I think it's just going to take one good film every year, two maybe max, to just
Yeah,
keep,
but one good
movies
film is not going
alive.
to save the theaters or keep them
I
alive.
don't think so, but I think it's going to be enough
I don't
to
think
keep the
so.
public like semi going,
Hmm. Yeah, I guess
because
That or the
it's not like
prices are jacked up. You have
yeah,
one
but it's not
theater.
like people are not going. When I hear these numbers, I feel like, man, that sucks. But these numbers are still astronomically large compared to just, you know, regular people's salaries. Uh, it's not like they're making their money back, but they're constantly in the deficit, but we're talking about millions of dollars. People are going. I don't know who, like us, right? But people are going. I just feel like a couple of films are gonna make, they won't make the deficit, but they'll just be like enough to keep people interested. Like Deadpool Wolverine's coming out that already has like so many ticket sales all ready to go. Um, Aside from that, next thing's coming up. I can't even think of it. That's for this year. I think that's pretty much it. Maybe Inside Out 2, uh, maybe Despicable Me 5. But
yeah, Despicable Me is definitely going to be a
no, I feel like
good moneymaker.
this is gonna be, if you have a good experience at a movie theater with a good movie, right, and you just are able to get that, I feel like enough people will give another movie another shot just because it was like, well, this one was pretty good. I have,
Well, that's
ate,
like
ate
why
popcorn
isn't
and
this one
stuff.
doing better? Like Mad Max Fury Road is beloved by
I feel
everyone
like it
who has
was.
seen it. Like, why is it
I
because
just
it
feel
took
like
10
it
years
took 10
almost?
years. I really feel like it's because it took 10 years.
Is it
Like,
also like the studios? Like the Fall Guy came out at the beginning of this month and is already on video on demand. It hasn't even been a month
yeah.
soon.
And I
So
just, I
like
don't feel
why would
like,
people spend like $20 or whatever when they can just rent it for 25 in like a couple weeks, like the
because I
studios are
feel like,
definitely killing themselves with
yeah,
this.
but I feel like the audience have somewhat of the blame here, in general, where Mad Max took over a decade to remake, and they has a fan base. But because it took a decade to get out an additional film in that time span, it feels like another cash grab based off a name franchise. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, but counter
for this
argument,
particular,
look at Avatar 2. That is one of the biggest movies in a long time that came out.
right?
Like that movie
But
made so much money, and
but
that was a sequel that took a decade.
Avatar was an original story. The Mad Max Fury Road was a remake of a movie, and because it's been 10 years, this feels like a reboot of the remake. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that the audience feels like it's been a long enough time where they're trying to cash grab again, not understanding that this is a continuation and it was postponed because of whatever happened. Um, does that make sense? What I'm getting at? Like it feels like they, it feels like the general audience was like, well, they just just capitalizing another name, not understanding that it took 10 years because it took 10 years, not because they wanted it away for 10 years, but it just looked at because it's just a Fury Road was a remake of an original film. But the audience members in itself have some for blame because they are tired of, for the most part are very vocal of like, we want original movies. Stop trying to remake,
But
old
they
stuff and
don't.
paying
No one wants
nostalgia.
to see them
But
though.
that's the thing is when an original movie does come out like Fall Guy,
But no one saw that
nobody's
movie.
exactly nobody's going now and supporting the original. You know what I'm saying? Like no, so
Yeah.
like, but audience members are to blame at that where you're being vocal if you don't want that, but then here comes an original movie, like a movie in itself where it's not a remake. You have top name actors. It's very very well budgeted. It's not like it's gonna be like a floppy film, but the audience doesn't go watch it, and they're giving you that. But we as audience members are also like, well, I don't want to go watch that. So it's like, what do you want? They are giving like Fall Guy wasn't the worst film. It was a pretty decent film. It was pretty
Yeah.
good, but people are not going to watch this. You know what I'm saying? Like, or if they are, I don't know, but hopefully it does better in video on demand. I really hope like a lot of these films end up being like um uh everything everywhere all at once, where there wasn't a lot of marketing, there was in the movie theater, and word of mouth just spread enough where people were going to go see this movie. Um, Major movie theaters pulling it out too early or doing like that, I can understand, why, but when they didn't do that with everything all at once, that it gave it time to build and build and build, and it did well. Like I don't know if people, if enough people go watch it, and then there's enough people like, well, I saw it, you should definitely go watch it instead of waiting for film. It's still movie theaters. Maybe that's the kind of hold off they need to do. But I feel like it's
Oh, they
really,
definitely do. Like
I feel like, yeah,
even last year with Elemental, like that movie started
yeah,
off slow, but then it made like half like more than half a billion. So like yeah, you just have to let it cook kind of thing. Like the Fall
yeah,
Guy had didn't have any time. Like a lot of these like just pulled right away. Like I don't know.
and it
Just
kind
see
of, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they kind of just screw themselves. Like
And it really does kind of suck because again, I feel I understand both perspectives, but there has to be. Eventually I hope there is some kind of medium that's met some kind of apex where it's just like we're able to get it. But as of late, it doesn't seem like there've been like enough crappy movies to justify not enough people going. Um, but on the other hand, it just it's still in this realm where it's like they're reintroducing same old films type of thing, and I mean just how many sequels are we even seeing alone in this year? It's like the majority of the films are sequels. This one was a sequel, well, prequel. Deadpool is a sequel. Inside Out is a sequel. Despicable Me is a sequel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
the major films that we're anticipating are all sequels based on a franchise name. And Fall Guy, who's just one of its own, would be one of those where it's like, well, that wasn't a sequel, and people were asking for this, that they didn't want to continue these stories, and then when they actually give you, and it's a pretty decent film, the studio pulls it, almost right away, and at the same time, the audience doesn't go see it, so it's like a double whammy for a pretty, well, it was a pretty decent film, a good script, good actors, pretty good. So hopefully, something changes, but overall, I just feel like, you know, we're kind of stuck. Before it was like all on one side. Now it kind of feels like it's in the middle, at least for me. So
Hmm.
hopefully this, because everybody who I talked to about this film, and even general reviews of this film, and genuinely enjoyed this film, they also have the same kind of questions of like, why is it necessarily not doing well? What happened? Like Garfield is in competition with this, and it doesn't really make sense because the film itself wasn't bad, and everybody who's seen it and other reviews is like, it's not. It's a great, it's a good film. It's not like it's unwatchable or is that bad, but
Yeah.
it's not reflecting in the numbers. So hopefully, something changes. I would like to see an addition on this movie, but we'll see how it goes. Anything else? Anything else you want to add?
Just to cap off that, like I saw an article last week saying that if that I think like the amount of people who go to the movies, like if everyone went to 3 to 4 movies a year, the theater or like the movie industry would just be saved. Like it would be doing great. 3 to 4 movies, which like seems crazy because like we see so many movies, but like that doesn't seem that hard to do, right? seeing 3 movies a year.
No, that seems pretty doable. That's actually seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't imagine it's be kind of a weird world where I don't see a movie in a year. Like
and that's a
imagine
that
just
yeah.
challenging yourself, be like, I'm not gonna watch a movie this year, the whole year, at least
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
Something's gonna get you to the movie theaters.
Yeah, I guess just like COVID kind of messed everything up with that, with movies, with theaters being closed, and then
Straight to streaming.
yep, a lot of that.
Nobody wants to sit for 3 hours,
Yeah.
even though kind of Eddie and I have kind of mastered the let's avoid the old seats and let's sit in the nice big seats.
See, that's also an issue. Like a lot of these theaters are kind of worn out, and why would I go there or when I can just wait like less than a month or a month and watch in the comfort of my home on my couch? Like
Yeah.
I get it, especially in like the big cities where tickets are expensive.
Yeah.
Because I think like I saw on Twitter last week, it was like people were complaining about like $30 tickets for IMAX for this movie in New York, but like most places it's like 10 to 15 probably. But still, like if the seats are uncomfortable and it smells in there, its floors are sticky, like I don't need my flat Coke when I can just buy a 2 liter at home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And
But
yeah,
like, yeah,
to
I think we all love movies here and theater going to the theaters. I just think something has to change for this to
yeah.
get better.
Yeah, and I like all that saying just like I love it's not a nostalgia thing, but I like just going to the theater to watch enjoy a movie.
Hmm.
Um, having a surround sound and having my own like I could pause or do all that, that doesn't necessarily appeal to me. But I know it does for a very large amount of people. Um, but I feel like it takes away from me watching the movie. As crappy as some of these movies are, um, I'm still watching it as it's meant to be watched. You know, dark dim movie theater, straight run through time. You know what I mean? Um, so I feel like for me personally, that just continues. Hopefully for a large number of people, it'll continue to do that. Um, but yeah, like the AMC who's investing in these like recliners and having all this other extra stuff. I mean, I think I'm at a point to where it's like I just want it to be comfortable. So yeah,
Yeah.
Charlie and I will go out of our way to get comfortable seating, even if that's at the cost of a later time or an earlier time, or driving to a different movie theater, just to be able to enjoy the film as if I were at home. But not necessarily overindulging on snacks and stuff like that. That's also astronomically high. But enough to just feel comfortable, watch it in a state where I'm very comfortable through the entire way through. And they've done a better job relatively being clean. They pick up, and I think more people are more well mannered than they used to be. They took away the carpet. They took away, it's all hard floor for the most part now. They could just vacuum everything. So, it's come a long way. But hopefully, yeah, as you said, Chris, hopefully it gets better. I don't know what they're gonna do. But we'll see. Will we see the end of movie theaters in our lifetime? I don't know. It's a good question. Um, we'll be here 20 years down the line. See how it goes.
That'll be sad. I won't be sad for the I guess the part the biggest impact would be like there would be no IMAX, there would be no Dolby on movies that kind of there won't be any 40X. I don't go to 40X often, but uh I would like the option to go to a 40X movie.
See, I feel
Uh
like the
watching
movies that will
watching
get that are like the
yeah,
big ones, the blockbusters, but everything
yeah,
like the smaller indie movies, will just go to Netflix or
yeah,
on
yeah.
VOD.
So that'd probably be the biggest. If it were to go away
Hmm.
indefinitely, that'd be like, how do you reproduce IMAX unless you're a millionaire and can get your own movie theater, right?
Yeah, for
How do you
real.
Yeah.
reproduce 40X? How do you reproduce
Someone
Dolby
shakes your
and
seat, you know,
yeah.
spits in your face.
How do you reproduce the big old movie theater seats without spending a lot of money?
Yeah,
Plus, it's like you're forced to put your phone away, which is, I mean, I feel like for nine, it might be easy for some, but I feel like for 99% of people, you're watching a movie at home, you're watching TV at home, your phone's right there, you're gonna look. You're
yeah.
not not
If you
gonna
get a
look.
message or
Yeah.
something, you're not gonna not look. Come on.
Yeah. And it just forces you to watch, do the thing you came there to do. The only thing I'm against is like the $15 popcorn, just against that. I'll sneak.
That's what's keeping them alive, and like the $20 drink.
Yeah, just because the Hollywood takes like 90% of ticket sales or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I'll still sneak in snacks. What did Eddie and I do one time?
We snuck in tacos to go watch this movie.
Oh
That is
yeah,
true.
Tacos.
We
I've
snuck
done
in
that.
tacos to watch this movie.
Everybody
Yeah.
around us was just looking at us. I didn't give a shit. All right, we
But
snuck
then
in tacos.
before that, I think we bought beer at the movie theaters. I think I bought beer at the movie theaters for the first time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Did you
that's it.
try one of their like the fancy AMC themed drinks?
No.
No, those
I
things
think
are
we had a
full of.
Modelo
I
or
did
something.
once when I was younger. Those things are full of sugar. Those things are just full of sugar and just alcohol. It's like that can't be healthy for you. Um, anything
Yeah.
else? Awesome. Uh, so now we're gonna move on to our rankings. Would you see in movie theaters and pretty much covered the sequel part. So just our ratings and theater decision. Chris, you want to give us your a rating and theater decision?
Yep. I would give this 4.5 stuffed bears out of 5.
Hmm.
And yeah, I really enjoy this movie. Like the first like Fury Road has a lot of lore in it, but it's more like just like naming drop things like Gas Town or Bullet Town or like the Citadel, like, but we don't really see it doesn't really dive into it as much. So it's great to see them like actually going to these places and like, okay, so this is the guy who runs it kind of thing. So just go see that and get some more background for this world. Chris Hemsworth, he's so good in this. Like, man, like I know Thor, like I feel like he did like pretty good job in Thor, but like it's nice to see him doing other stuff other than Thor, you know?
Yeah. Not
And
reference Thor.
yeah. Yeah, and then Anna Taylor-Joy and Aaliyah Brown, like young Furiosa, like she was great in this. Like I wasn't expecting young Furiosa to be like a lot of this movie, but like she did a good job, even if she didn't like say much. She stayed quiet for her survival. But yeah, that was good. And I saw this in Dolby, but my seats weren't. They were like kind of close, but it still was great. Like every time the car like revved up or like the music started playing, like you felt it, and it was awesome. So definitely recommend seeing it on a big screen for sure. Eddie, what about you?
Yeah, I would give this 4 aluminum sprays out of 5. Yeah, it's a good film. Uh, really well paced. It'll keep you interested from the beginning to the end. Um, yeah, as you mentioned, they're just great overall performances. Um, really good performances by everybody in it. Um, you know, we'll see where it goes. Hopefully, it does do something. But definitely go watch it in theaters. I feel like this is a good film to go watch in theaters. If you're able to go watch it in IMAX or Dolby, I feel like that experience would be really, really a big plus for this. So if you're able to go, go watch it in that. But definitely go watch it. And if you can't for whatever reason, if you're holding out for, anything else, definitely give it a watch. I assume it'll be on Max first. since that's where the other one is, but we'll see where that goes. Charlie, what about you?
Yeah, same. I give this four underground cannibals out of five. Yeah, everyone should go watch this in theaters. I think it's a great theater movie. You don't have to wait till it gets home to your streaming services because it's not gonna hit the same at all. Yeah, I like the creativity. I like the backstory lore. Um, and yeah, it just makes me want to watch Fury Road again. So as far as a sequel, yeah, I'll take a maybe not a sequel to this movie specifically, but maybe a sequel to Mad Max, or maybe a sequel, a side story on the War Boys lore and the hierarchy that's kind of built within that community. Because there has to
Yeah,
be, right? There has to be a
yeah,
main war boy,
yeah.
The War Man.
a war man, the king of the war boys, or the leader of the war. Yeah, whatever they are.
Yeah,
Immortan
whatever
Joe
it
is the
is.
leader, I assume.
Yeah. Well, he's a king. Yeah, obviously he's a king, but within themselves, I imagine there has to be some kind of hierarchy, power dynamic, you know. Um, so yeah, I'll take one of those, please.
Okay, very specific. Um, yeah. So, are there any scenarios we didn't cover, anything we didn't go over? Please feel free to email us at straight to pld@gmail.com. You can also follow us at straight to PLD on X, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube, and Twitch. And that concludes this week's episode of Straight to PLD.
I'm Charlie.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Eddie. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.